All right. Looks like the second time was the charm. Tried this stream just a minute ago and wouldn't hook up to the chat. And I'm like, Koopa got me. But anyway, two things that made me, well, a couple things have actually made me chuckle this week that kind of led up to this live stream tonight. Besides having like an atrocious couple days at work here. Come on and focus. But anyway, first of all, the last video I did about comic book collectors and relationships and stuff, it broke 200 views. I never thought that thing would break 100. That made me chuckle. The other thing that made me chuckle was something kind of led into this video. Hey, you got it working. Yeah, yep. Very happy I got it working. But anyway, it was really odd. I got tagged in on Twitter in a thread about some kind of infighting or something that's going on with Comicsgate, and somebody in the thread before I even saw it had already replied to the person that tagged me and posted one of my older videos and stuff. Was like, yeah, I bet he appreciates getting tagged in some petty stuff. So I sort of looked at it to see what it was, and it was nothing. I mean, it was something, but nothing really worth doing a big Twitter report on. But it got me. It was Comicsgate related, and I have a little bit of a history with Comicsgate for anybody that's new here and stuff. Back in the day, it's been around long enough we can say that. And I was kind of curious because about the only big news I think left to follow up on with Comicsgate, in my opinion, is the Mark Waid trial with Diversity in Comics. I'm really wanting to see what comes out of that for many reasons. Does Comicsgate ever read comic books? Well, I'm going to touch on that, man. Tech is Tim's biatch. We're getting there. But basically, my history with Comicsgate is I put it out there when you're a small channel, and I was on the cusp of I could have been a big channel. I chose not to. I got talked down and used common sense and stuff. But on that, I had a bunch of videos raped and pillaged over the years by Comicsgate channels. But when you're a small channel and you say things like that, it's a no-win situation because you're just seen as whining and all this stuff. And the fans of those channels are like, how dare you, and all this stuff, right? Plus, it's not real important in the long run. It would have been nice to, it kind of sucks I did the work for some people when it comes to comic book knowledge, reading comics and things like that. And of course, we've got somebody coming in here. So basically, this isn't exactly to put Comicsgate on blast. It's not sour apples. I'm just all about full disclosure. But before Comicsgate was a thing, there was at least a year before it hit big. Some of the things I did was started a petition, got quoted, had an article wrote about me on Vox, got quoted by Entertainment Weekly, but they didn't use my name. They just used my petition paragraph and stuff, fighting the censorship of a Batgirl variant cover that had the Joker on it, where he's painting a smile on her, old news. Started getting weird messages from people who were giving me their labels and identifying themselves, and they were veiled threats. Actually met some SJWs before it was, when it was starting to become a real thing that people outside of those circles were starting to notice. I met some in real life. And then there was people who were trying to drag me into Comicsgate, and there was people who were pushing me out of it, like when I wasn't really ever in. And I even acknowledged my part in some of that starting. Now, this isn't trying to be an unsung hero. It was a very confusing time for me because one thing, I'm really grounded in the real world and work and things like that. And I had people flagging videos, flagging me during live shows, trying to get me demonetized, trying to shut down my channel. Couldn't live stream there twice for a few months. It was really crazy. It was really crazy. Really, both sides trying to drag me in or out of whatever they perceive. They just want to shut me down. But the biggest, most messed up thing, in my opinion, that happened was one of the people a couple people who were on Twitter. You understand, I would have people, I didn't dig looking for this stuff. People would, say you need to check this out. But the biggest thing was there was these channels have come and gone. But there was a channel where there was a guy with a Southern accent, never showed his face while he was doing the videos and stuff like that. And some people came up with the big conspiracy theory that, they can't tell a Southern accent from an Appalachian accent. But they were trying to say that it was me. I actually ended up talking to this gentleman after I was like, hey, I'm getting some flack over here for your channel and stuff. And, it was cool. We talked and stuff. He wanted to name names. I was checking it out. I had a few people that I thought it could have been. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes I never really talked about up front here and stuff like that. But what really got me is that the guy was cool. Don't get me wrong, but man, he hated SJWs. I mean, it was just the visceral, man. I was like, oh my God, that's real hate. I mean, I'm not too fond of those fuckers, but wow, these guys really hated him. So I get on here after all this stuff and like, oh yeah, I'm not saying I had an investment. It's just that, love it or hate it, Comicsgate has become a part of comic book history. The 2000 teens are going to be a huge black eye on comic book history. And, but the game changed for them that they need to admit, or they probably already know more than others. Some people knew exactly what they were doing, and some people haven't really woke up to it. But once they published comics through Comicsgate, through their GoFundMe, whatever they used and things like that, they were no longer really Comicsgate. They were part of the industry. As small as it was, right? And that just kind of changed the games. When they started out, they were calling out a lot of things that needed to be called out. They actually were buying comic shit. You never saw a lot of these people showing their comic book collection. And they ended up getting a lot of their own Twitter stars and stuff that were like calling them out and building huge followings against and for Comicsgate and stuff. I actually had to like really dig in, because a lot of these things are forgotten like they never mattered, which is what blows my mind, unless you're still watching these things. But there was the infamous Renfamous or whatever and all that stuff. And a lot of comic book creators were like going after him, Bleeding Cool, Newsrama. The people were writing articles about this stuff. And you don't hear any of that anymore. The companies finally did what a lot of people wanted, is rein in their talent. This freelancer excuse is no excuse. Yeah, you don't officially work for a company, but the customer base looks at you as representing that company and stuff, right? Your whole Twitter following, online following, was based on your work. So they reined a lot of that in. There's a few out there who still kind of chime in every now and then, but the damage is done. And a lot of this stuff is forgotten unless you followed it. And try explaining some of this stuff to people in the real world. All right. It's ridiculous. I mean, just with a straight face, try to tell them what's going on. So it's a niche group, right? And there's always been niche groups here on YouTube over the years. There was the now, I mean, and they're all gone. That's just it. These things are flashes in a pan, over and over. You had the the atheist community, the skeptic community, the reaction videos, the call out videos, all sorts of things. And a few of these people are still around, but things that really brought the YouTube drama and stuff were on. And this got me thinking. I always talk about history repeating itself. You can always find something in human nature that's already happened with the drama and stuff. And I'm going to compare totally, and this is what's ironic, I'm totally going to compare Comicsgate to like this, specifically Savage Dragon of Image Comics, right? Now, my first semester of a community college back in the day, I didn't finish. I ended up going back years later. The whole big life story is there. But I kind of stuck out in my first semester of college, surprise, surprise, because I was the most laid back dude you ever saw. High school and living in my house was like doing freaking time, right? I was like, man, I'm going to be 18, 2 more years to go, counting down and all this stuff. So by the time that I got to college and everybody was real sad about high school and stuff, I was like, all right, my life's starting. And I was just laid back. I was like, I can't wait to see what happens and where things end up and all this stuff. I was just laid back, and that blew people's mind. They told me I was like that. Hey, what's up? We got some people coming in. Let's take a break here. Underworld, I got people that I've never seen before in here. Welcome, guys. Kevin Kelly, Gateway into Comics. Eric Breen, what's up, brother? Underworld Dream, they used to okay, talking about, does Comicsgate still talk about comics? They used to, but the people who took over CG from the old CG want to make money making comics and have problems with those who want to review comics. Interesting. Vincenzo's here. There's a name from the past. Damn, my new atheist skeptic reaction Comicsgate channel was just about to start. Go for it, brother. Go for it. Bring it back. Take it back. And Adriano Gomes, I am not going to butcher that name. I'm more respectful of that, but thank you. I think I think we have someone from Brazil here. That's awesome. But anyway, so what happened was, I was just all chilled and anybody would talk to me and stuff like that. I mean, like 110 pounds, still keeping the mullet alive back then, but I was just the laid back dude. I mean, I was Lebowski, man. I mean, I can say that's a little piece of my time I was Lebowski. And they had a game room beside of the cafeteria, and in the game room, pool table, jukebox, couches and chairs to sit in and all this stuff, and a TV in the corner. And I had tons of people come out and grab me from outside, say, "You got to see this." And they bring me in there, and on the news, my jaw dropped because I see Todd McFarlane, Jim Valentino, Eric Larson, Rob Liefeld, and all these guys. It was the announcement of Image Comics is coming. Comics made the mainstream media back then, on all this stuff. And I was like, holy cow. And what was going to happen with Image was that they're changing the game. As years have gone by, we've got more of the backstory and stuff. I've had people recommend documentaries on Image, me reading comic scene. It was stuff you're like, what is going to happen? This was just amazing. The biggest talent are like, we're going to self-publish and all this stuff. We're going to change the game. We're changing everything. And you come to find out that right when these guys decided to do this, they went to the offices of Marvel Comics, said, here's what we're going to do. Give them the big finger, got out of there. And then they went over to DC and Rage Against the Machine and said, no. And DC was trying to say, hey, let's sign you a contract. The way they're telling the tale, DC was still trying to hire these guys. And they were like, no, we're just here to tell you what we're doing. Bye. And neither one of these companies really took them serious. That was the deal. They didn't take them serious, much like when Comicsgate started. So you had these guys, and what happened was that everybody had a studio to make comics, and they're putting them under the Image imprint. And as years went by, Liefeld would leave. You started hearing, I think Jim Valentino was removed as publisher. Jim Lee sold Wildstorm. They all became almost all of them started becoming what they set out to not be, the opposite of Marvel and big comics. It's creator owned, creator driven, and all this stuff. They started saying that art alone and sporadically putting out comics, never know when they're going to come out, and a bunch of series not finishing and not following through and being late on stuff and everything like that was hurting them. And supposedly it was Todd McFarlane telling everybody to get off their ass and put out some comic books. You had one person who kept churning along and saying, let's do this, man. What are you doing? And all this stuff. They pretty much became rock stars. And, Mark Silvestri was hanging out at the Playboy Mansion and stuff, right? You had a lot of things going on, and, Liefeld doing his thing, and everybody, it was just all over the place. It's fascinating history to hear what was going on behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Marvel took a hit. DC took a hit. You had all these comics coming out from the big two, all of a sudden trying to look like Image Comics. And then Marvel ended up giving some of their books to Wildstorm Studios and Extreme Studios. And we got the Heroes. What was it? Heroes Reborn or whatever, and stuff like that. It was like bizarre times. You saw comic book companies and stuff like that coming together, trying to do things and all kinds of stuff and shady stuff going on. But eventually what happened was that next year will make 30 years since then. And, a lot of those books that started out aren't there. They ended up becoming what they didn't want to set out to be, what they were raging against. And that's what happened when Comicsgate ended up making comics, in my opinion, right? A lot of people knew exactly what they were doing, in my opinion. There's a fan base out here, and this is a prime opportunity to put a comic book out because of how bad the other comics out there are being. Of course, I am bottom line in this and really making a simplified statement that's a bit more complicated than that, but I think you get it. Sub the Gateway into Comics. I'd post a link, but I'm a tech idiot. Okay, so Gateway into Comics. You heard him. Sub that dude. So where does this leave us, right? So out of all those books that came out, of course, some good stuff came out. Some horrendous trash came out. They influenced comics good and bad. To me, in my opinion, the quality of paper, the coloring, a lot of things that Image did made a better product, but the prices went up. There's tons of series that never got finished or came out that they did a big purge for people. They started making rules all of a sudden. about if you don't have, I don't know, it used to be if you don't have 3 issues done or something, we're not going to put you out, and all this stuff. All this, they started realizing it was a business and stuff, and it got complicated, and they brought other people in, and people started getting divisive and stuff, right? And really, I think the only 2 books, and I have no problem being corrected here, the only 2 books that are still going are Savage Dragon and Spawn. And Spawn, I know, has tipped over the 300th issue, but I remember back in the day where Todd McFarlane said that, you know, I'm not Marvel and all this stuff. Nobody but me will work on this book. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. You know, we'll just leave it there, you know, and all this stuff. I'm always going to have a hand. I'm always going to be doing something, right? Well, McFarlane made money on the toys and all kinds of stuff, right? And the other book is Savage Dragon. Now, this is not slamming those books and stuff like that. It's great that they've lasted and stuff. And cool, an indie book has joined the 300 club, but the quality of those books does not match Cerebus that did it first, in my opinion, right? Total opinion. I can go on that, right? But I think Savage Dragon is starting to pop up there, right? But to me, this book, I don't know anybody that really reads Savage Dragon. I don't know anybody that reads Spawn. I know people who will grab a back issue here and there. They'll do this. I've got a few little storylines here and there. You know, most of them people pop up in the book, guest stars and stuff. The last time I really heard anybody seriously talking about Savage Dragon when it wasn't a stunt was back when McFarlane did this Savage Land, where it was an ode to Commander Jack Kirby and stuff, right? On a side note, what cracks me up about Madman popping up in an Image comic is there for a while in the 90s, Dark Horse had McFarlane and John Byrne, Paul Chadwick, Mike Allred, and a few people. And they came up with the Legends icon for their books. Mike Mignola put a freaking Easter Island head on all those books. And this was McFarlane and Byrne's retaliation against Image, saying this is how you do indie books, self-owned books or whatever, creator-owned books and stuff like that. But anyway, get it back on there, right? But I really don't know anybody's doing this. This book, the sales are horrible on it. A couple years ago, I had a chance to talk to Eric Larson at Heroes Con because apparently I hit a moment. I don't know. I hit a moment maybe that nobody was really at his table, but the dude just had a vibe that set me off. That's not a slam on him, man, but there's something about him that set me off. So I didn't go talk to him and stuff, right? And all this stuff. And of course, I think he started getting out there on Twitter. He did his big Donald Trump issue. I don't know how much of this stuff he believes, or if he's trying to figure out his audience, or he's trying to keep the book going. I mean, you know, he's a founder in Image. His books never want to really be canceled and stuff, right? But it doesn't really matter. You know, that's what I'm getting at. It should be a big achievement, but I don't think it really is with what's going on there, right? But good, 300, breaking 300 issues, right? And I kind of think that's where we're at now because where I got tagged in that thread in Twitter, because I was like, oh yeah, I wonder what happened to that Wade thing. Oh yeah, I've got my little history. You know, all the stuff started coming back, and I'm just curious. I don't need an excuse. You know what I mean? I was like, I wonder if we're at that Wade thing. But I started trying to find some of the older Comicsgate channels I kind of remembered. And of course, you got the Comics Artist Pro Secrets with these men, Skyver, Diversity Comics, blah, 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 and all that stuff, man. And to be honest with you, I think some of the things I predicted in earlier videos and stuff may have come true, because I could not finish one video by any of them. It seems to be infighting, complaining about not having material, and I was like, what is this? You know, I was just sort of like, there was nothing. And it's what I predicted. It was Comicsgate, and the comic book industry had a symbiotic relationship. I said, what are you going to do when you don't have any more material? Because this is not going to last forever. I didn't know how it was going to end, you know, but I figured it'd be a big fizzle and stuff. And I think that's what's going on. But the infighting with all of them, that's what made me go back to Image and stuff. It fell apart. Somebody mentioned there's a new Comicsgate versus an old Comicsgate and all that stuff. But they've got their audience. They got their niche audience. I don't know. Maybe they're getting 10,000 views at the most per video. I don't know. That's kind of what I saw. But it's not growing, and nobody's really talking about it. And it seems like all it really did is basically picked up somebody's rug and shook it, and you found all the dirt underneath, and it went all over the place. And now things have settled down, and now they're resorting to all the infighting and stuff. To be completely honest, it's almost like if you enjoyed middle school and high school drama, this is your thing now. It's, again, I did a video a few weeks ago. It's and said things aren't about comics. Well, it's not about comics anymore, and I'm real curious. I'm real curious now that we have people publishing books out there. Now that, you know, the marketing is there, the fundraisers are still there, and like I said, I'm still interested in how the Wade lawsuit comes out and stuff. Real interested to see what's going to happen. Is it going to be like Image? Are we going to all of a sudden have something happen like Saga, like Walking Dead, or not? You know, I mean, could this be it? Is it going to go away the way of a lot of other communities on YouTube that just lasted a few years and stuff, right? Are people going to say, I'm no longer part of Comicsgate and move on with their channel? Because that's happened. I'm really interested because, like I said, as soon as they have actually published books, they're part of comic book history. What we got here? Whoa, you guys have been talking, man. Okay, we have Paulo Costa here. What's up, Costa here? What's up, brother? Underworld Ream is what he has here. Former CGers, aka old CG, that I talked to point to the same thing that's happening, and also saying that they're making them the same mistake, aka Ethan Van Sciver having multiple campaigns for different covers for one book. Sequential Geeks there, what's up? Hey y'all, appreciate your comment on my last video, Sequential Geek. Vincizio, do misdeeds invalidate Comicsgate principles? Well, that's just it. I've said it before. One of the reasons, I mean, I got talked down a few times and stuff. You know, I was always on the fence with it, and then eventually it just kind of became its own thing there. But honestly, I couldn't tell the good guys from the bad guys. I've said it before. I mean, I know there's shades of gray in this world, and there's necessary evils and stuff, but I'm in for the long game here. I just want to have a little channel, be able to talk comic books and comic book history and whatever I want to every now and then. You get into those little niches, man, where you're dependent on somebody else for material. It's not going to last. Ethan Van Sciver has gone total Andy Wartsky. Oh, I remember him. I remember Andy Wartsky. Oh man, I think didn't drugs get him? I don't know. I'll look it up later. Kevin. Unfortunately for me, looking up some of this stuff the last few days, I've ran across Chris Hansen going after a YouTuber named Onision or something. I'm like, this is nuts out here. And I want to put out something with Comicsgate stuff. I maybe if I dug in my memory a little bit and stuff, but it reached a point there where I felt like I was watching wrestling on television, and I felt like there was some kayfabe going on there to where I feel like some of these things were staged with people on both sides and stuff, right? It was unreal. And I would be like at Baltimore Comic Con, and I think I was at Heroes Con one time and stuff. And there were some creators that were like totally lying on Twitter, and it was to get the attention of Comicsgate, get somebody talking about me. So what's come out of this, basically, now that it's all sort of, it feels like it's died down. It feels like their audience isn't growing, but they might be retaining who they have and stuff. But they've actually done what Image did when they became Marvel and DC to a certain point. Comicsgate really has sort of become Marvel, and I do still feel like DC in the modern day, they're sort of irrelevant. Still putting out material, but there's nothing blowing anybody away, nothing really inspiring people, and really there's no real goal to it anymore. What were they want to accomplish? There's no direction, there's no hill to really die on and stuff. It's Twitter drama and calling out people who's been part of Comicsgate from what I saw, and dredging up people from the past. You know, I'm like, what is going on? I'm just not interested in that stuff, man. I mean, if I want some high school drama and stuff that I can handle, I'm going to whip out my copy of The Breakfast Club again. Kevin Kelly, I stopped being an Image fan when Larson posted his garbage little religious joke his wife told at Easter. Yeah, that's what I mean. These are things of my purging of the comics. If you guys have been following those videos, that stuff like that does do it. I just don't feel right supporting or giving free advertisement out here. Even if one person buys a comic because of me, I don't want to give it to them. They can have their beliefs and stuff. It's that condescending attitude and not showing respect to other people that they expect from other people. You know what I mean? I mean, I know a lot of online stuff is to get attention and say outrageous things, but there's a limit. Sequential Geek, he says, I know CG will start to make these points that I start to agree with. They start to make points he agrees with. Then I listen for 30 more seconds and I'm like, oh, wait, what? No. Okay. Stephen Moore, what's the story behind the Wade lawsuit? Torturous interference, Stephen Moore. And guys, y'all can chime in on the chat and update them better than I can. But basically, I think it was Antarctic Press was going to put out a comic book by Diversity in Comics, as in it would be on the stands. Mark Wade allegedly made a call. The big guy in comics and stuff made a call to Antarctic Press to let him know who they were getting in bed with, and he bragged about it online. And that's considered torturous interference, and that's what they're having a lawsuit on. And there was like a lawyer that I actually heard about on the news, seems like a year or two before this, called Mike Zaid, I think. Anyway, it kind of it's going in and out of court and stuff, and they're putting it off. And there's a huge GoFundMe by Mark Wade and by Diversity in Comics to fund the lawyers. So we're just waiting to see what they find. In my opinion, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. Wade, where he was bragging there, it didn't look good for him. Underworld Ream, the new Comicsgate was empowered for the past few years. They're just now officially saying that now, so they can have a new slate and blame things on the old CG. I don't follow it that far, but it just kind of follows history repeating itself, even though it's YouTube versus comics and stuff like that. How much of it is real and how much of it is to get the clicks and the views and stuff, right? I think we're at a point, it sounds like they're rebranding themselves. So you got to kind of ask, why? Is it real or is it not? Like I said, I got freaking tagged in a Twitter thread about this stuff. Me, you know what I'm saying? Wait a minute. Are you saying wrestling is fake? Choreographed. Well, Sequential Geek. It's great that they promote self-publishing and order online to circumvent Diamond, but that type of do-it-yourself should not be political. Well, here's the deal. The whole thing that was there, and I even said it years ago in my 3 videos a year before Comicsgate, is make your own comics. It was them, right? Make your own comics. If you don't like what's out there, stop trying to change and lose the soul of these characters and and go on this stuff, right? But one of the things I can respect, whether the books are good or bad or political or whatever, is the fact that, hey, your books suck. I'm going to put out something out there and let's see what happens. And that's what Mark Wade's allegedly went in and stopped. Could you imagine if a lot of people in comic book shops ended up buying his book and it outsold or was competitive enough to hit the main, keep up with the mainstream books? Who knows? We won't know what happened in there, right? But they acted. That's what I mean. This wasn't all about slamming Comicsgate. It's more like a weather report. Is it raining or is it sunny outside? Where are we at with it and stuff, right? It's now comic book history. But they did it. They put the freaking books out there and they sold them. I sort of wondered, that could have been, and I was hoping for it. I think I did say it in the video before. I was really hoping that this was a new way to do comics. You got people like Mike Grell and Tim Truman and guys putting out books like this for years and stuff, right? And I just sort of thought maybe this might have been like Image, bring your stuff over here and just get it put out there. Come over here. Here's how you crowdfund stuff. There's an audience. That would have been wonderful. I was curious if it was going to happen. I'm sort of glad I didn't put all my eggs in that one basket. What we got here? Edward 2962. There were some regular guys in Comicsgate that had some valid points. Yes, I agree. But many of the famous guys were disingenuous actors who were just cashing in on fake outrage and Twitter Completely agree with you. And I'm glad that's what I mean. I think people really need to look at that, kind of step away from it a little bit. And if they're invested in it and they know the history of it and they've seen these channels and stuff, maybe they may be the ones to make a call if they can just get out of it for a little bit, look at it through different eyes. Paulo Costo, circumventing Diamond is a good idea, but they need a regular distributor to reach comic book shops, stores, and online stores. That's the problem. The comics and stuff were, I mean, it is what it is. Comic book shops have been closing down for years in droves because of the quality of work that was coming out of these companies, mainly Marvel and stuff, and the business practice. You had the retailers at a retailer summit rise up, and just yell and stuff at Tom Brevoort and a bunch of people at Marvel saying, "Put out books that sell. What are y'all doing? Quit this crap." They were more worried about taking up for the milkshake crew than the people who they sell books to. Edward 692, right? Oh, Sequential Geek replying to Edward 2962, right? Many great points they make, but there's the drama and 3-hour vids of EVS ranting. Well, here's the deal. That's one of the reasons I did the video. Well, I couldn't finish any of those videos because it's drama, and I've already talked about it. It's this drama, and it's like they're eating each other and stuff. Much like I've seen all that before. Edward, I mean, again, many of the MCG were just as bad as so-called SJWs there were against. Yeah, they were using the same tactics. They just had a better presentation. They were able to talk like normal people, have manners, talk in a rational way and stuff, but it was still the same tactics, And I mean, let's face it, some of the news websites, comic book news websites, pop culture websites and stuff, they were putting out hit pieces and acting like they were trying to shape how this was going to look back out because they lied. I saw many articles that were lying and were slanted. Coffee Breath, Comicsgate is just a tool for Kickstarter books. And that's the whole deal. Somebody saw some marketing and they went for it. I personally, I get what you're saying, but I personally don't slant that. You get what I'm saying? But I think it's how they acted after they get the money that should make you decide if you want to support it or not. You get what I'm saying? Putting out your own work and getting it out there and having an audience here who's disgruntled with what's out there. I don't think it's as easy as adding 2 + 2, but once you get the money in your hand and did you get how you put out the product and quality of the thing, you know what I mean? They're a customer now. That's what I'm trying to get at. You're a customer for these people now. They are no longer what they were before when they started out, Kevin Kelly, exactly. You always explain everything well. Vincizo, I won't guilt the Comicsgate principles because of bad associations. Fair enough. Underworld Rim, the original 4 Comicsgate channels, they all left. One deleted his vid hating what CG had become. Second wave CG, only 3 are still there. Most of the CG that still came around with Ethan, which was third wave. Interesting. Kevin Kelly, I have to go. I'll catch up later. Later, brother. Paulo Costo, Rich is still doing what he always did, reviewing comics. Nice. I think I know who you're talking about, Paulo. I'm not sure. Underworld Ream, I respect Richard since he's still trying to encourage people to buy from store and learn to stay away from the. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't know who you're talking about. I know 2 or 3 Richards on YouTube channels, but one of them, I'm one of the few people out here in the real world that knows his real name is Richard, so I can't say who it is. I'll totally bust him by accident. I respect Richard since he's still trying to encourage people to buy from stores. And yeah, I just read that. Stephen Moore, I think Disney bought Marvel just for the films and don't really care about the comics. Sequential Geek, let's talking to Stephen Moore. You think? LOL. So basically, I'm at a point where I can just keep repeating myself, bringing up other things in the history of comics just to kind of, give you an idea what's going on out there. But kind of thinking, I'm thinking of this myself as this video is sort of a benchmark to see how things come. Again, the thing I think I will be checking up on is the Mark Wade. I'm real interested in how that Mark Wade court case goes. Real interested. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I think we're going into the 2020s, guys, and stuff like that. And there's always cultural shifts. Things die, new things start. Some people might be just hitting a hangover from this crap now. They just want to read comics, and YouTube is changing. I'm waiting for the Koopa thing to hit. Is that how you say it? Koopa, whatever. Koopa, I think. And we're at some unpredictable times here to see how they're going. I'm just glad we're all still kicking. But one of the things is that it's not so much me hating Comicsgate. It's just I'm really sick of hearing about it. And here's a benchmark in the history of it. Like I said, in my opinion, as soon as they put out books that came out of Comicsgate, their comic book history. Okay, what we got? Vincizio, you still feel, oh, yeah, that's okay. That's who you are talking about, diversity in comics. I still feel like Meyer is a legit critic. He does what he does. I don't really watch. I mean, I've checked out his channel here and there over the years, but the only thing I can comment on is back when I did check out his stuff a little bit more frequently. And to be honest, it's like maybe 3 times a month if I really had to put a number on it. I really feel like he did pick up books by certain creators a little bit too much. You know what I mean? I did start seeing what felt like an agenda. I'm not even trying to like walk on eggshells. I'm just trying not to put out a fake accusation and stuff, right? So, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I'm not telling anybody not to watch these channels. This is just sort of like they're out there now. They're putting out a product. You can review other people's stuff, but people's going to review your stuff, you know, and they're not going to worry about it, you know. What have I been reading at the moment, Howler? I am making my way through Alan Moore's The Lost Girls. I am finishing up rereading a little bit of Michael Moorcock's Elric books. There's something else I was reading. I got some newer books to catch up on. And I pulled out some Sandman Mystery Theater. Sequential Geek, yeah, he's a legit critic. His comments about men that are childless I could do without since I'm one. Edwin Boyette, interesting thing. Direct market is at 4% this year. Sales to comic book stores. Awesome. Vinci. Oh, Edwin Boyette. Okay, yeah, whatever was going on where I got tagged in Twitter for a second there and stuff like that apparently had to do a little bit with you. Yeah, just throwing that out there since you popped up. Vincizo, oh me, too sequential. I didn't like that either. Edwin Boyette, the novelty and urgency dissipates, though once. What's going on here? The novelty and urgency dissipates through once 100 or so have successfully made a crowdfunded comic. I got you. As soon as more people are doing it and stuff, it's not that big a deal. I got you. Yeah. It's like when new music starts, man. A new form of music comes out, and it's a big trend, and you got the originals like the Ramones, and the Ramones begat the Sex Pistols and the Clash and everything that came after. And then all of a sudden, it's like carbon copies came after that. Hair metal bands. You went from Motley Crue to Poison to Warrant to Danger. Yeah. Where we at here? The 101st doesn't change any of the fundamentals. Gotcha. Sequential Geek, yeah, Howler, he's got an agenda, but based on that, he's a good critic. That's funny. Okay. Paulo Costa, even I have an agenda. I want Marvel to shut down the editorial department and license production to Italian studio Panini. That's an agenda, all right, Paulo. Edwin Boyette, sorry if I'm getting tagged with me, created an unpleasantness where it was less than kind. No. I'm getting tagged with that. I was like a ghost from the past and stuff, right? Yeah. Edwin, I don't know if you ever followed my channel, but I'm not going to plug too much because I've done it before. But I got 3 videos that were talking about SJW and comics a year before Comicsgate hit. And a little bit after that, I found out there was like 3 or 4 channels that had already been talking about creators and these changes and stuff that were coming, that I think were overshadowed due to Gamersgate and stuff, right? So all this stuff that came up, I'd already talked about it a year before Comicsgate. I saw the new trailers for Morbius and Black Widow. Going to see them, but definitely not Birds of Prey. Stephen Moore, I'm going to tell you that's the other thing I didn't say at the beginning of the video. I said a few things that made me chuckle this week. One of the things that made me chuckle was not that there's a Morbius movie and that it's Jared Leto and things like that. And it was cool. And Michael Keaton popped up into that trailer. I mean, it was cool. Don't get me wrong, it was cool. But what got me is all the people that are coming out online and stuff. Some of these people I've seen for years on YouTube and stuff like that, that are all of a sudden, they're like lifelong Morbius fans. I'm like, imagine that. It was cracking me up. I'm like, give me a break, And I can say that because, like I said, I actually know some of these people that I'm talking about. I would totally burn them to their face in real life. Sequential Geek at Vicingio. Exactly. So when people do judgmental, superficial comments, that I think it delegitimizes them as a critic, to their certain extent, most deaf. It goes deep. The waters run deep. One of the things that really amazed me is that a guy sitting in his car and in a chair, back in the days when I'd like checked out his videos here and there and stuff, showing his socks and stuff, actually had these people stirred up to where they went after him a little bit. He gave back and all that stuff like that. Man, I never saw that before. I talked a few weeks ago about Millennium, the Legion of Superheroes Millennium book, where it was one of the few videos where I absolutely blasted a book. It was a 2-issue miniseries that led into the Legion of Superheroes by Bendis. But in the book, I said his story was like, he just grabbed the author and said, first we're going to have Rose Thorn, whatever he's calling her, meet Supergirl and she's president. Then we're going to see Commandy, and then. Well, the second issue came out, and every time they switched, scenes in the story, he had in big letters, and then ... That's the thing that came out of Comicsgate 10 years ago. I would have laughed and said, what a coincidence. I'm so tuned in and laughed about it. This is the first time that I can ever think of you can do a YouTube video and you have to wonder if this is like a slam at you passive aggressively through a book. That is crazy. If you think about that, that is crazy. That is, Okay, Paula, this reminds me when I first found Ingleton, and he's made a comment about spending too much time with video production and Richard being successful, just pointing his cell phone camera at his crotch. That is one thing that I've actually said before. There's a video where I talk about where, it's the quality of what's in the video that also has to be there. I did a whole thing about that, so yeah, that's what gets me here. Right now, it seems to be like drama. I think a lot of Edwin Boyette, I think a lot of it was timing, shifts in the market, the rise of the YouTube critics, and the Trump election created a bit of a pressure cooker. Stephen Moore, damn, the new Legion book was bad. I picked up the new Batman issue the other day, and it was not too bad. Is Tomasi doing that? Peter Tomasi? Don't think I'll carry it on, though. Yeah, I think Batman 86, maybe. If I know anything about I can sit there and talk to you about the 50s, 60s, the 70s, big time on the 80s and 90s and the 2000s. But you get up to the last 3 or 4 years, and I just can't do it. A year earlier or a year later, and CG probably wouldn't have happened. That's what Edwin Boyette says and Stephen Moore. All right, guys. So we're going at 43 minutes. Again, this is just a topic video. This channel is not going to be Comicsgate all the time and all that stuff. Just sort of, like I said, a benchmark in the history here. Something I just want to get off my chest. Had an idea for a video. Some little things led up to this. And I know a lot of guys that pop up. Seems like I keep a pretty good schedule on those rainy Sundays to do a live show. May not be one this weekend, guys. Work's been hell this week. Like I said, I came home and did this just kind of chill out. I didn't throw that out there. And I'm taking off to Asheville, North Carolina on Thursday. I'm going to watch a band called the Dead South that night. Might hang out a little bit the next day in Asheville. Going to, when we get back, we're going down to kind of a bar / restaurant where they're having an 80s dress up night where you win a prize. So me and the fiance will be dressing up in our 80s attire. Maybe I'll post some pictures. I don't know. Seeing some friends on Saturday, and then maybe I'm supposed to be off Friday and Monday from work, but I'll probably end up going into work there. All right. So there may not be, or there may be. So the whole point of me telling you this, besides the fact that I'm ready to eat dinner, and I think I'm getting a little lightheaded in a good way, is that subscribe, hit that bell. If I get time to do a live stream, it'll let you know. That's the big deal. Thumbs this up. Let everybody know we're out there. Thanks for everybody being really cool in the comments, man. Really cool. After the minefield that's talking about some of the stuff has been over the last few years, I'm just now realizing, man, we had a pretty good laid back little talk here. So I'm going to go through some of the comments, and we're probably going to wind it up from there. Had a great crowd here tonight for this little channel. People talking about that. The Fourth Age. Stephen Moore saying the Fourth Age is a good channel to watch. People talked about when Marvel went downhill and stuff. A Sequential Geek at Paulo Costo. Yep, and the new creators were cutting down fans publicly. It was very entitled. Yeah, totally. Like I said in a few videos back, I think all this stuff really started with an article that maybe Newsrama or Ain't It Cool News or something like that talked about Dan Slott taking down a fan, pretty much breaking it down, then ending it with a big fuck you at him. And that was like 2010, 11. I think that was the beginning. Okay, Edwin Boyette, thanks for the thoughts. I'll watch this in its entirety later on. Yeah, Edwin, I mean, have fun with it. It's not a heavy video, man. Just some thoughts going out there. Appreciate it, man. I don't think there's anything controversial or real dramatic here. I don't think I said anything that would cut anybody to the heart. Hold on, guys. I'm having a little, it jumped. Apparently, I had a bunch of people's comments lead up. Now I'm sitting here giving you a play-by-play. Okay, Underworld Ream, one of the original 4CG Ingleton. Yeah, Ingleton. I know who you're talking about. Speak well of you and promote your channel. Yeah, Ingleton's a great. Yeah, Ingleton. Yeah, I appreciate him being one of those people being like, hey, I watched Howler Mouse and I went for it and he spoke about it. That's very cool, man. I appreciate it, man. I wish him all the success in the world, man. Hope his channel's doing well. I pop in there every now and then. Yeah, and he's saying that I was one of the first people to speak out on the problem in the industry and give you much credit. I feel pretty good about about the way I spoke out years ago about it, because it was after I made that video, I found out about a few other channels. So it was really cool to find out that there were seeds in this before that other people were seeing. At the time, that was a video where, I try to keep this channel positive or down to earth most of the time. And I knew that a few people may have been mad at that, but I had no idea that first video was going to go viral like it did. I sound like Al Bundy talking about my 4 touchdowns 30 years ago in high school. Edwin Boyette, Howler Mouse, you know where Smithfield, Johnston County is? No, I don't think so. Unless you're talking about Johnson City, but I don't know what the county is. No, I don't think I know that, Edwin. Paulo Costo, oh man, remember Newsarama forums? Very regulated. Yay. Oh, Mastodon popped in here. Where are we at here? Man, these comments are just flying through, man. Thanks, Stephen Moore. Nice chat. Vicenzio. I might have skipped some people here. Yeah, if you research Howler Mouse, he was an original, quite copied. Appreciate it, man. Mastodon, you mean I missed it? Got to hit that bell, brother. Sub and hit that bell if you're not already subbed. Hey, Jared, I just showed up. What did I miss? A good time. You missed a good time. We've had a good time. Everybody's been real civil and reminiscing. Paulo Costa, typical Howler stream, ready to leave, and loads of people pop up. Yeah, it used to be I'd get phone calls or the internet would die. Got to hit that bell, guys. All right, guys, a ton of comments came in. I'm going to read them later, man, but you're just going to watch me scroll up and down here and stuff. It is, we're at 49 minutes, and I am ready to eat. Got the house to myself tonight. Going to see what I can get done around here after I eat. I am starving, man. Everybody be cool to yourselves. If like I said, hit the bell. If I can get another live stream in, I'll do it, but we're going to be pretty busy. And I don't usually plug social media and stuff, but there might be a few things where we're traveling and doing that 80s dress up like the 80s contest. So I'm Howler Mouse on Instagram and Twitter. My Facebook link is probably still on my homepage on my channel. But, if you're interested in that stuff, I might post some stuff where I'm traveling. All right, guys. Aloha. That nice, Edwin. Sequential Geek, peace. Stephen Moore, nice chat. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everybody popping in. And I will be looking at the last probably, 10 minutes of the chat when I watch this a little bit later. Okay, guys. Be excellent to each other.